So by the end of this year, we'd like to be in a position where the government can be able to grant those permits, and then we can start construction. Construction will probably be about 8 months. So if everything goes according to plan, we should be able to produce gold by the end of next year.
Hello, welcome to Assay TV. Today I'm delighted to be joined once again by Joe Hamilton, who is the Chairman and CEO of Unigold Inc. Unigold released this morning a PEA on their Candelones oxide deposit, which is situated at their Naita concession in the Dominican Republic. Joe, great to see you again. Congratulations on releasing the PEA this morning. Can you start things off by giving us a few highlights from that report?
Of course, Leo, and thanks for taking the time. This PEA that we put out today was just on the oxide portion of the deposit. It's important to note that the oxide resources are a small piece of a much larger mineralized system that also has underlying sulphides. We chose to look at the oxide portion of the deposit as a standalone project. It's smaller and short-lived, but it does a number of things for us. It gets us into production. We think that it should be relatively easy to permit. It's low capital. It's got a very small environmental footprint, but most importantly, it sets us up for an application for a mining license. It allows us to train a workforce in the area and allows us to get our logistics sorted out in country before we move into the larger sulphide project, which should dovetail towards the end of the oxides.
I mean, as you mentioned, it's a fairly shallow, open pit, free dig from surface, no drilling and blasting involved, yeah?
No, those are the assumptions we've made. Certainly with the work we've done, the mineralization only goes down about 25 to 30 meters deep. It drapes over top of a hill, so it's more of an earth-moving exercise than anything else. I don't think there'll really be any pit walls in this, so much as just moving dirt. It's been designed as a run-of-mine heap leach. The total material that gets stacked on the heap is about 125,000 ounces. In the study, our independent engineers at Micon chose to use a 75% recovery on the heap over a 10-week cycle. I think it's also important to note that most of the test work we've done to date on the oxides has given 85 to 90% recoveries in 4 weeks. So once again, a fairly conservative estimate on the retained or the produced gold. So all in, we're producing just about 95,000 ounces of gold over a 3-year period from the oxides.
And in terms of all-in sustaining costs, how are they looking?
Well, the all-in sustaining costs are about $744 per ounce. Now that, of course, is completely dependent on the 75% recovery. I think if we can do better on the recoveries, obviously the all-in sustaining costs will fall as well, because we'll produce more ounces for the same cost. But the way the estimates are running right now is that's $744 an ounce, which puts us squarely in the center part of the cost curve, I think.
That's very good. And in terms of you mentioned it's sort of about 3-year life of mine. What is the IRR and the payback period?
Well, the IRR is on a 5%, the IRR after tax is about 35%. The capital costs are about $36 million, which includes about $10 million for EPCM and contingencies. Whether we build this ourselves or whether we bring in a contractor has yet to be determined for the actual construction. So I think there's ways that we can work to decrease the capital as well, which of course will enhance the IRR. But for the base case, Micon International, who are the engineers we used for this, chose to use the 2-year trailing gold price of $1,650 an ounce. So at that basis, we've got a 35% IRR on the project on the base case.
So everything that's been done so far on this report seems fairly sort of conservative, but potential upside, I guess. And there's been some sensitivity analysis done as well on those figures, yeah? Yeah,
there is. This project is, as you would expect, most sensitive to gold price. But the capital and operating costs, it's relatively insensitive, but that's because it's a short life project. So, it's tough to discount things well out, 8 or 10 years in the future. We just don't see that because it's such a short life project. So relatively insensitive to capital and operating costs, much more sensitive to gold price. Our break-even gold price, just to note, is about $1,200 an ounce.
Mm. So in terms of this sort of rationale behind the project, you're using this project to then sort of generate some cash flow to fund the exploration and development of the larger sulphide. Is that correct?
Well, that's correct, Leo. We've got currently in our current resource estimate, there's just under 2 million ounces in resources and pit constrained resources in sulphides, and those sulphides are probably the larger project. We've been drilling those out quite consistently over the last 2 to 3 years and targeting much higher grade mineralization than what's currently in the resource estimate. We intend to put out a new resource estimate sometime in the next few weeks, which is looking at the sulphide portion of the deposit. So it's our intention to use the oxides, or this project that we put forward in the PEA, to provide a springboard into the larger sulphide project. We felt that there wasn't, it's going to take probably another year to finish engineering and metallurgical studies on the sulphides before we're able to put together an appropriate project. We didn't see any reason to delay on the oxides. It's an easy project, it's low hanging fruit, and it gets us started with the permitting and the community consultations in the area on the smaller projects. So we're going to proceed with the oxide project. In the meantime, we will be upgrading the sulphide projects through to economic studies, as well as moving things into measured and indicated categories in preparation for feasibility studies on the sulphides.
Mm. So in terms of moving the oxide project forward, I guess the next step is a feasibility study. When would you hope to have that out?
Our current plan is to start the permitting process now, do the feasibility study and have the detailed engineering complete by the end of the year. We'd also like to complete the environmental impact assessment by the end of the year. Once again, this is a fairly small project. It has a footprint of maybe 50 to 60 hectares. So it's not a large project. There's no tailings facilities. There's no waste piles. Everything that comes out of the pit goes onto the heap. So we think that the EIA will be relatively quick, and we'll start working on that as well. So by the end of this year, we'd like to be in a position where the government can be able to grant those permits, and then we can start construction. Construction will probably be about 8 months. So if everything goes according to plan, we should be able to produce gold by the end of next year.
Fantastic. Well, you've got a lot of work ahead of you, but it's an exciting project for you to get your teeth into this year, and hopefully build up into something bigger as we go forward. But thank you very much, Joe, for joining us this morning for that update.
My pleasure. Thank you, Leo.